All right, welcome back to the Elias Makos Show. And of course, we kick off this third hour of the program talking about the Quebec Liberal Party and its leadership race. Now, that leadership race entering the final stretch. Voting will happen between June 9th and 14th. 5 candidates in the running, party members set to vote. And we've asked each contender to bring their bold ideas to CJAD 800. Now, we've heard the cliches, right? There's been a plethora of debates. Sometimes it's difficult in a 30-second section in a debate to give bold, big ideas. So that's what we're trying to do on the program with all of the candidates. Today, we welcome Marc Bélanger, an international trade lawyer who says the future of the party lies in strong economic leadership. Bélanger wants to boost Quebec's economic self-sufficiency, support local business, and nationalize water resources. Let's talk with him right now. Monsieur Bélanger, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, bold ideas. Let's start off. Give me the boldest idea that you've got in your campaign.
Well, I'm focused on the economy for sure, but I have to say that the most important one is the nationalization of the water, because the water is the most important natural resources that we have, and in the future, they already have fights in the U.S. and between cities because of the water, and I think that at some point that will become something that's very important.
So what does it entail when you want to nationalize water resources? What does it entail, and what are the benefits for Quebec?
Well, first of all, I want to control the access to the water. This is the main thing. I don't want to have like a foreign company, like U.S. company, having an access and then pushing pressure and on the Quebec to be able to bring more water in the U.S. because right now we have like regulation that limit the transfer of water outside Quebec.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with all the economic pressure that we have, well, then, for example, when they renegotiate the agreement, they could say, well, you know what, we want to have a better access
You're
to
talking
the
about
water.
a trade agreement with the U.S.
exactly.
when that's renegotiated. Yeah.
So the goal is to make sure that if we nationalize the water, at that point it will be more difficult for them to ask for like having like a better access. And the thing is, if we don't nationalize right now, it will be difficult in the future to say to the U.S. American companies, to say no in the future. Exactly.
So do you view it like, Hydro-Quebec is a resource and we're exporting to the U.S.? You view long-term our water in a similar type of vein?
Yeah, I think that water is, we need to protect the water, and we need also to have an access to the water. I think that, for example, in Montreal, when we go downtown, we don't have access to the water. So this is one other thing I want to give access to the population, because if we decide to give access, for example, in Fontaine and stuff like that, well, the people won't buy water bottle, and then it's good also for the health. So this is funny because I'm a guy, a very huge economic guy, but I think that the first thing, I think that the water we need to protect.
Well, listen, it certainly counts as a bold idea, and I really do appreciate that you brought that to the table. I am looking at, your the space you're taking up in this race, right? And you've got some higher profile candidates like Pablo Rodriguez, and we have Charles Milliard on already. And I guess for you, you're trying to get your voice, your ideas heard. So do you have an idea or a topic, something that you want to focus on that you think has a broader appeal? Because some would say, okay, water nationalization is a great idea, but it's more niche.
Yeah, okay. So I will go on the international because I think that everybody is focusing on expenses. And it's easy during a race to say, you know what, we give $200 million on this ideas. But the problem is we are so, it's right now the situation in Quebec, the financial situation. Well, even if you say, well, I'm just going to do that and more expenses, the people could say, well, it's very interesting, but in fact, it will be difficult to realize that. So I'm focusing on the income. So this is the thing that I have focused since the beginning. I'm saying, well, then we need, for example, to explore the exploitation of our natural resources. I think that this is something, and I want to create a sovereign fund, like in Norway, to put the money that the exploration. And one
So
of the
are we talking oil and gas and doing something that it seems like it's been a couple of decades that we don't want to even go down that path?
well, the thing again, because I see on the future, and I think that all our resources at one point, the American probably will push to come. Well, they have done that in Ukraine. I'm not saying that they will do that in Canada right now, but over the time, well, they will probably go there. So I want us to control the exploitation of our resources. I want the Quebecers to benefit from that exploitation. So I don't want to foreign corporations to do that for us. So I want the government to create a fund like in Norway, and that we will do the exploration of those natural resources, but we will do it our way. So I don't want to make billions of dollars more than what we need, but over time we need to protect our environmental, and we need to do that under our standard, not the standard of other company. So this is one thing that is very important, because there are billions of dollars underground, and we have so much need above the ground that I think that we need to focus. And like I said, I don't want the foreign corporation, because when it's a foreign corporation, we just take like a small percentage of the profit. In that case, it will be us that will explore, especially the gas, natural gas, for example.
We're with Marc Bélanger, running for the leadership of the Quebec Liberal Party. But I do want to talk about, so I get being hesitant about Americans and foreigners taking over, especially our natural resources. But I guess you also want to have a government and a province that is open to foreign investment and is open to other people investing in Quebec, or maybe not. But I know that's always been a goal of, and the Liberal Party has always tried to say that, hey, we're the party of business. So I wonder how you do that.
Well, the thing is, I'm okay for foreign corporation coming here and invest on areas that are like completely different, new areas, for example. But I don't want to invest in corporation. For example, Nordvolt. I think that we were a subcontractor in that case. We have not creating any technology and intellectual properties. So I don't want to have that kind of investment. I think that we should invest, for example, in the Quebec Corporation. For example, in the Nordvolt, the government was willing to give like $3 billion, up to $3 billion. Could you imagine $3 billion is 3,000 million that you could have give to the Quebec small companies to develop on the international market. So I think that this is one of the things that if we want to gain Quebec back, like the Liberals, I think that we need to demonstrate a certain nationalism, economic nationalism. But the other thing is, and maybe you're talking about ideas, we are discussing about the obligation to go on different market, to open to not only the U.S., but since 2002, I'm mentioning that we need to diversify our market. And one of the things that we have in Montreal is all those Quebecers from the immigration. And what I want is to focus to make sure that we are able to put the Quebec company in relation with all those communities in Montreal. So in that way, it will be easier to develop all those different markets. For example, if you have like in Japan, if we have a community, it's very difficult. When we have a service or a product, that doesn't mean that it fit the Quebec service or the product exactly fit for the market. But if you have like people from that country that could say, well, you know what, if you make that little change and stuff like that, or we have contact over there, so we need to use all those Quebecers from immigration.
So, and it's almost, people that have come to Quebec, they're a natural resource as well, right? Especially with their connections to where they've come from. So you want to develop those relationships.
So this is one of, because the money, again, natural resources is one thing, international commerce. One other thing that I have mentioned is the knowledge, the e-learning. The e-learning in 2020, there was overseas, the worldwide market was $20 billion. And they were expecting in 2020 that in 2027, it would be like around 80 billion. But in fact, in 2024, we were already at 400 billion. So I think that the knowledge that we have in Quebec, it's something that it should be treated as a natural resources, and we should like go on the e-learning and sending the knowledge to all the world around the world, and all the universities and college, they should put and invest. So I want to create a center of knowledge, and then that center will discuss with all the universities and college to create that e-learning to sell to all around the world on different languages and stuff like that.
Monsieur Bélanger, in the moment that we have left, for some of our listeners, you're probably not as well known as some of the other candidates in the race. Listen, you've got a book, right? And it's called Agir par conviction, like acting out of conviction, where you've outlined, a lot of what you believe in this book, which is much better than a 30-second answer, right? But to wrap up here, what should our listeners who maybe don't know a lot about you, what should they know about you?
Well, the thing is, I'm someone who's like a visionary. I think that in politics, it's what is missing. The people are not seeing the big picture. And I think that this is the way to govern. And I think that the population, it's something that, I'm from Matan, I'm from the region, I'm specialized in international tax, international commerce. I think that I'm able to speak to the people from the region, and I'm capable to speak with people from all around the world. I have traveled in 70 countries up to now, so I'm open to the world, and I think that this is exactly what kind of the leader that we want.
Monsieur Bélanger, good luck in the race. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.